style that Coach Smart likes. They start out of the blocks. You can see right here from the start, they've put 2 guys deep in the corner. And Texas, they're a run and gun side.
Have you ever seen this before? 2 guys sitting in the corner, offensively corner. And while Bamba wins the tip, we go straight to Ty Wesley. Straight up, jump hook, deep inside, and there's the athletic school. Well, they got to us, Rowan. If you start the game, it's going to stay at Melbourne.
I suppose when you've got Bamba in the jump, you hope you win the tap, but on that occasion, Majuk was just sensational, getting the tip for Melbourne United.
Here's Bozeman, who will run point guard. Kyle Adnam away with the Australian University team, as is Mike Kelly and Craig Moller. But Bozeman and Sam Short to share the point guard duties tonight. Wesley, same shot. Hands it off. Majuk from about 10 foot. Leaves it short, balances around. Evans above the rim, and already Melbourne United dominating the offensive play.
I just love the evolution of Majuk. He's still so young and such a presence down low, and had a great year last year for Melbourne United.
They push the other way, and this is what they do. They get up and down. There's the big fella, Ossadakowski for 3, leaves it short, and Evans, who is long. We talked about Mo Bamba and how long and athletic he is. Jerry Evans, one of those guys who going to give himself an opportunity if an NBL team, in fact, needs someone of his calibre. And left-handers always hard to guard too, right?
Oh, my old man who's a coach here in Nuttawading loves the left-handers, just provides something different.
There's Golding, inside to Majuk. Can't find it, and now we're off. Bumbo leads it. Coleman, left hand, nails it. We're going to see a lot of up-tempo basketball tonight.
Yeah, Texas, as you can see, early point of pick-up here. They get up the floor, and this is what they did to Dandenong last night. The reason why they jumped out to a 28-point lead. They get up and down the floor, and Coach Smart, he's an energy guy on the sideline, and tonight you'll see some clips of him getting up and down the sideline. He's certainly more animated than Andrew Gaze, if that's even possible.
We did see Kyle Adnam play 90% of point guard against the Chinese team a month ago, not here as I mentioned. This is a really good opportunity for Sam Short to be able to come in when resting Bozeman and play against high-quality opponents. He's had a really good year for Ballarat in the SABL. This is a good chance where he's going to take high-intensity defence for full court.
They're the sort of experiences you want to give 19-year-old kids, and he's taken the chance on becoming a development player with Melbourne United, and what better litmus test than it is to go against an athletic team like Texas.
There's Coleman again, trying to be aggressive. A little pushing and shoving, which I like. The big fella, Dylan Ostakowski, who sat out, as I mentioned, for a year due to the transfer agency rules when he switched up for Toulon, and now gets his chance at Texas, and he's nicely psyched up in his second game in the Texas colours.
Yeah, certainly.
You know what? That's what happens. When you have to sit out for an entire year and watch it, and you can't join the team when they're struggling, you get an opportunity, you get to travel to a beautiful country, a little bit of contact, a minute and a bit into this game, and he's firing up his bench.
Yeah. When I saw him play last night, I was like, is this Mark Worthington out on the floor? He is he was sensational against last night against Dandenong. He got others involved in the game. There's that sort of passion we love to see from visiting teams.
Bozeman looks back door. Golding couldn't hold on to it after Johns missed 3 down the other end. And Texas will regain possession. Scrappy start for Melbourne United. That's where you see a little bit of, though, with that high-intensity defence. Backdoors are something you can definitely play into your hands.
Yeah, you got to use their pressure against them. They're going to give you that opportunity to make a cut, and you have to keep on moving. And it can be quite fatiguing for a team to play that style of up-tempo defensive play. And we know as Texas get involved in their bench, they get a little shorter, they get a little less athletic. So Melbourne United can stay in the game, stay competitive. Will be very important.
Obama steps back, 18-footer, nothing but net. Hence, not only is it the wingspan, the agility, and the fact you can get above the rim, the fact that you can step out and shoot the mid-range jumper and the 3 is a reason he's so highly touted.
For a guy that size to have that sort of touch is just impressive.
Wesley outside to Evans, off the rim. Ostakowski with the rebound, and I think Wesley got deep inside, seen Bamba and tossed it out as Ostakowski goes straight down the line on Majuk, and one. And in actual fact, he's less emotive with an and one than he was when he got a little hip check only moments ago.
And Ty Wesley's come out and tried to assert himself physically in this game already, and down there laid one on Bumba underneath the basket. But Bumba's put on about 6 kilos since his high school days. It's something he's spoken about in the media. and certainly helping him and going to prepare him for the one and done year, if that's what he chooses to do.
You know that's what he's choosing to do, Ro. Let's not
Right.
skirt around it. One and done is a thing that everyone does, in particular that much potential nowadays.
But it is going to be the separating factor as to terms of whether or not he can develop quickly enough to make an impact in the NBA. We've seen that with Ben Simmons.
He's actually a lot more solid than I thought he was going to be. Watching highlights and watching tape of his high school as Evans runs into him and the wingspan gets a hand from Texas, couldn't get it. There's Evans, just inside for three. Off the rim as United still look for their first points, and Febres into the game for Coleman gets his first touch. And it's not a good one as Evans gets a deflection and pushes it the other way. Evans, and one. We've got an and one. We have continuation.
What a terrific play from Evans there. You know, the University of Nevada graduate, he's 6'8". He just had long hands there, got the deflection, and was able to break away for the fast break. It's exactly what Melbourne United needed to open up their scoring account.
And smart basketball too, because the continuation rule has really developed in the last 2 or 3 years. Now, the NBA, 5 years ago, you get fouled at halfway, you take 4 steps, it's an and one. But the NBL and FIBA have started to ease it in a little bit there, and Evans took, you know, to be honest, took full exception of it.
And I like it. I think it's... you know, it rewards the offense, you know, for making a good play, and there was no need for him to make a play on that. He just should have let it go for an easy 2. But, you know, I do like that free-flowing style of basketball. I think it's far more attractive for the viewer and, you know, leads to spectacular finishes, obviously.
The only with the continuation rule, as we see Andrew Johns go to the foul line for 2, it does murky the waters just a little bit when it comes to that three-point shot. And I know the Golden State Warriors, and we're talking different levels, of course, but the Golden State Warriors have really successfully tried to use it a lot more to gain 3 shots. Now, that continuation in your 2 steps, no one's got an issue with it. You get a bump at half court, all of a sudden you take 2 steps and throw it up. That's where some people start to think, well, there's a bit of confusion for the view.
Yeah, and they're getting smarter. The game evolves, doesn't it?
It does.
You know, so, you know, the NBA players are certainly using that to their advantage. And, you know, some people have called that staging and shouldn't be rewarded by the officials. But, you know, we want to see games that are, you know, free-flowing and offensively minded. So we don't necessarily want the game to be over-officiated. But, you know, it takes some class, it takes some skill to make a lot of those three-point plays. And it's certainly something that coaches breed into their players through their style of training and what they do in practice. They make it physical. And I think the game's evolving to be able to take a hit, give a hit, and finish the play.
Dylan Ostakowski getting just a small little chat-to from the referee after Melbourne United turned it over. And already Melbourne United, without, I guess, a pure point guard on the floor earlier, struggling a little bit with his high-tempo defense that Texas has brought to the court tonight.
Yeah, the thing, brought on in Damon Bozeman, he'll start running the point now for Melbourne United. But Chris Golding's still out on the floor, which is really good to see as we see another deflection from Evans.
He's been really active early. He's lengthy, which is always good. He's able to obviously guard a high player compared to just a post player as he gets an offensive foul. And
my questions with Evans would be, physically, is he an NBL player? You know, he's still kind of light, but not necessarily too athletic to surprise you. You know, do you think he's an NBL body?
He's active enough right now to play. He's guarding a guard in this position here. I would actually be more, not concerned, I'd be more worried or wary about his jump shot. Like,
Yeah.
He's probably, and I know the NBL is a little bit more athletic nowadays than it used to be, but he probably would have to play maybe a 2, maybe a 3, more of an athletic wing. And if you can't hit the jump shot, you're probably going to struggle to go to the next level regardless of what level you're trying to get to. So that'll be the question mark I think at the moment as Ty Wesley goes down the middle. Majuk, nice little shepherd, but missed by the referees, and he'll stay with Melbourne United. That would be the thing for me. I think if he's able to hit the jump shot, I think the ways he can get around his lack of physicality.
Yeah.
He's had some open looks tonight, which he hasn't been able to knock down yet as well.
He's a seasoned traveller. I mean, he's played in Greece, he's played in Poland, you know, and now he's had his time with the Sandringham Sabres in the SCABL. So he would have trained with Vickerman. You know, the Sandringham Sabres train at the same facility as Melbourne United, so be familiar with what Dean Vickerman's looking for. So that works to his advantage tonight, given the fact that, you know, obviously he's got a little bit more extra confidence coming into this game.
Yeah, Dean Vickerman has spoken so much about the fact that they got informal scrimmages all over. I think it was almost every Tuesday or Wednesday over the year, and guys like Evans, like Bozeman, you know, the Kyle Adnams of the world, if they weren't, you know, Chris Golding when he, you know, obviously after his ankle surgery was there as well. So they're giving opportunities to guys under the nose of predicament under the Melbourne United hierarchy. And the couple of guys here tonight have probably earned their opportunity via such a thing. Golding on the fadeaway, 18 foot, off the iron. Evans, and one.
He's certainly been the spark for Melbourne United in what's been a pretty flat start to their pre-season campaign. And terrific offensive rebound there and able to finish the play on his left hand.
Majuk able to clear a couple of men, and Jeremy, really, essentially, Evans quite long as we've spoken about defensively, and it's worked for him on now 2 offensive rebounds. Just on, where Townsville bear the Melbourne Tigers, first pre-season essentially of the game, of the season, is it normally hard to get you guys up and into normal intensity?
We're typically in a pretty heavy training load in the pre-season at this point in time. Melbourne United have done a lot of work in their off-season around conditioning. They've got a brand new facility now where they have a gym within their own office environment. The high-performance manager, Eric Hollingsworth, has taken on board a lot of the strength and conditioning for Melbourne United. So you are in a heavy training load. With a lot of guys away tonight, Vickerman's probably going to be quite realistic in terms of how this team's going to play and probably approach or give the players the mindset that this is what you train for in the pre-season. You've got long hours, long days. Come out against a team like the University of Texas and give it a crack.
Dylan Osikowski, we spoke about how fired up and pumped up he is to finally pull on the University of Texas colours. Great move down the other end. Ball fake for 3, able to get to the ring, and he's able to prove. And I think the entire team here at Texas can all put, regardless of the size, can put the ball to the floor, which makes them such a dangerous component once they get into the college season, into college play.
This is one great freshman class, but they're going to have to come together quickly. And Dylan Osikowski, he was definitely the most productive last night, as we see a terrific block again.
Ethan O'Day into the court as well. Here's Golding. He's just starting to fire up. Steps back again. That's what he does. Chris Golding gets his rhythm at the foul line. Now a jump shot is inside the 2. And isn't it good as a shooter to get to the foul line early and just feel a little bit better about yourself when you're trying to ease into the game?
Yeah, I've been impressed with Golding's mobility so far. I mean, injuring that left ankle, he missed 6 critical games last year in the Melbourne United season. And he's moving quite well.
Played for the All-Australian team on that China tour, then had some calf issues again, but good to see him back on the floor. The veteran and really the heart and soul of this Melbourne United outfit.
Yeah, Barlow, 33 years of age now, 2 Olympics, 2 World Cups. I mean, he's in veteran status now.
He's Golding over Bummer and hits it.
We've got a turnover here. Just on the end ball line, Texas threw that ball away as Golding's just rattled them now. He's come out and made free throws. He's made a step-back jumper and now a 3. And, Texas now starting to ask themselves a few questions.
Shaka Smart has said to Mo Bamba at 6'11" and a 235 wingspan, go and guard Chris Golding. And this will be a challenge for Chris as well. He was able to use his agility to get off a double screen there and find the room needed. But when you're guarded by a guy who's 5 or 6 inches taller, as well as a wingspan grader, it does change the way you have to look at some of your shots.
Look, Chris Golding is one of the craftiest campaigners you'll see, and that won't worry him a lot. They are switching a little bit off the ball now. But here he goes again as he launches.
Bamba comes late, too late. Jericho Sims into the game as well for Texas and had a nice dunk last night. Another guy who's athletic as Barlow. Foot on the line in front of the Melbourne United bench. It's off, and Coleman, the point guard, freshman point guard, brings it up. There's Bamba from 17 foot right on, off the iron, and Evans rips down his 5th rebound of the game, including 2 offensive. Golding guarding by Febris now. Kicks it out. Bozeman takes it inside. Bamba says no.
We just saw right there why he was touted as one of the best defensive recruits this year nationally. Because he just stood right under the ring and just swatted that away. His rim protection is going to be very valuable to the University of Texas this year.
Jacob Young checks in for the University of Texas a moment ago as well. But that's what happens. Help defense is so much easier when you're guarding a guy like a Bozeman or a Golding, but then all of a sudden you have a guy 6'11", can get across, weak side help, and has the length as well. It must make you feel a lot easier or a lot more confident as a guard if you do get beaten once or twice.
Most definitely. I mean, he has to explore, Bumba, all facets of his game this year. And we saw in the previous possession how he took a three-point shot. I don't mind that, because for a guy that size, eventually he's going to learn to have to shoot that ball in transition. And one of the decisions he made to come to Coach Smart was the fact that he was going to give him the freedom. He goes to a Duke, if he goes to a Kentucky, maybe he has to play a little bit more of a role. But on this team, he's going to be given the freedom from Smart to explore the facets of his game. And that's going to position him well for the NBA.
Peter Hawley into the game for the first time as well. Had a great year for Ballarat, averaging 21 as they made it into the conference grand final. And now signed. Golding gets tripped. Jacob Young. Inverted foot. It'll stay this end. 12 all, 3.5 left in the first quarter. But Peter Hawley's a good story, of course. A really decorated college career and made one of the, almost talking Australian college player, probably the most famous shot in the last couple of years at the University of Albany in that final that got him through to March Madness. But didn't come out of college and get heavily recruited by NBL teams. Had to work his way through the SABL with Ballarat, now finds himself on a roster.
Yeah, I think he spent a short time over in the BBL with Plymouth, which, is an interesting side plot. Johnny White over there, coach got himself in a bit of trouble, but...
Daryl Coletto was over there as well for a couple of years.
Daryl Coletto, but he slipped right into that program at Ballarat, and I think, Coach Brown at the University of Albany used to always talk about with Hooley that just at times, just some bad body language and some frustration. He'd get down on himself, get a bit introverted, and... the progression through to the pros, that's going to be a real challenge for him, and I'm excited to see him in Melbourne United colours. Obviously a little bit of a replacement for Daniel Dillon, who hurt himself with an Achilles injury in the pre-season so far, but exciting times ahead for Hooley.
Great pass from Sims on the high-low, Barber couldn't finish. Sam Short talking about Ballarat, he checks in for the first time for Golding, and it will go up against Coleman, which will be a nice little test for him. As a fadeaway is down from the baseline. Ethan O'Day with that one. Now we're going the other way. Great pass inside Hooley. One more. And one. And O'Day's come on. And again, in the last 30-odd seconds, has sparked them enough to get them going. Felix Van Hoff on the court as well. So this is the team that we won't, and a lineup we won't necessarily see in the NBL season. But guys, as we touched on, Van Hoff, O'Day, Evans earlier, guys who want to take this opportunity to say to be it Dean Vickerman or someone else in the NBL, hierarchy or coaching ranks, hey, I've been doing what I do in the Big V or the SABL or the Waratah League or the QBL. And we'll see a couple of the QBL guys on Sunday when they take on the University of Wisconsin. But hey, give me an opportunity, I can do it.
And I think that's been the model for Melbourne United since coming into the league, that they've really tried to connect with some of the grassroots programs like Sandringham, like Ballarat. They've played some games in Ballarat recently, and it's, those experiences that allowed guys to improve and get better, by connecting with Melbourne United. They've got a bit of a strategy around it. General Manager Vince Crivelli, he understands the Melbourne landscape really, really well.
Hey, talking about exciting times, October 9, 2017, Oklahoma City is going to be hosting Melbourne United. Of course, they take on the Thunder, Paul George, with Russell Westbrook, the MVP, and Melbourne United heading over there, which is great, not only for Melbourne United in this situation, but also the Sydney Kings, who are heading over, the Brisbane Bullets as well. This is a great thing, not for the clubs only, but also for the relationships of the league. And of course, Larry Kesterman and his team have done such a wonderful job of being able to open conversation, open dialogue, and saying to the NBA, hey, we haven't just got guys who can come and play and push and play in your league, but there's going to be a great deal of benefit in playing pre-season games. So October 9, stay tuned to all the Melbourne United social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, because that's going to be the first way you find out how this game's going to be broadcast. That's exciting for the club, for the players, for the league in itself as well.
It is. And, tonight, Larry Kesterman could have sat in his penthouse, nice and relaxed, and said, I'm not coming to Nunawading, I'll sit and watch it on the broadcast. But he is here tonight. That speaks volumes to the man that he is. Come out here on a cold winter's night in Melbourne, come watch some serious shoots. That's how much he loves basketball. We've got to give him credit for winning that deal with the NBA.
Melbourne United there, again dominating the offensive board. Hooley couldn't finish there with a 6-point lead here in this first quarter, 2:27 to go. Dylan Ostakowski back in for the University of Texas. And we see Jericho Sims is in, as well as the big fella Mo Bamba takes his first seat for the night.
Just me, or is this quarter exceptionally long?
Seems to have gone a long time. few fouls called. Here's Coleman. This is the highly touted freshman. Point guard. Here he is again, guarded by Barlow. Goes left. Barlow cuts him off. Good body control. Couldn't finish it, Coleman. Great D, Barlow. And United, they found themselves in a 7-point hole early. Now lead by 6 and are pushing to try and extend that lead. Here's Hawley off the O'Day screen. Barlow. Sam Short guarded by Coleman.
We see the typical dribble drive handoff action that known a lot, very familiar to the national program with the Boomers, with Andre Lamanis. Of course, Vickerman served as an assistant for Lamanis, and you know that flow action that we just saw from Melbourne United moves the ball from side to side, shifts the defence, and forces a team like Texas, who rely on so much defensive energy, just to wear out a little bit down the stretch of the shot clock.
And without making it unbelievably basic, it is a fairly simple offense to run in a situation such as this, where there are a lot of guys who don't necessarily know the ins and outs and the structure of Melbourne United and don't know what Dean Vickerman is working with. I won't say half a team, but Barlow, Short, Hawley, Golding, Majuk. We're seeing guys who will be there all year, but there are other guys who won't be. So rather than have to teach everyone the offense, run a basic handoff and be able to get a fair bit out of it without having to worry about making sure the X and O's are getting kicked every time they go down the court.
Right, and it's a jigsaw puzzle, but they're big pieces right now. They're not little pieces. So, he's got to go with something he's familiar with guys see every day, that he feels develops the skill sets of his guys. Whether you choose flow or you choose some offensive structure, at this point in time of the season, it's irrelevant, and you're exactly right with your analysis.
Dylan Ostakowski there, backs in, nice little jump hook over Barlow, another minute. Hooley running the point guard here. Kicks it out. Barlow for 3, wide open. Net. We've seen that a lot, not only for a domestic team beat the Sydney Kings and Melbourne United, but also for the Australian Boomers, Olympic Games, World Championships and World Cups, and that'll give him a bit of confidence as he finds nothing but the bottom of the net there.
Found nothing but the bottom of the net, but, one of those fouls from Hawley, he went to pick up the ball straight away, and he fouled a guy, 80 feet from the basket. They're in the bonus. It just keeps Texas in touch now. It's a good play. He made great dribble penetration, found Barlow, but you can't commit that sin so far away from the basket and put your opposition to the foul line.
Dean Vickerman, I think, as Bozeman comes on for Hawley, stressing the exact same conversation that you just had there as Andrew Johns goes to the foul line, a recipient of that foul so far from the basket. Nails the first. Second one up the iron. Ostakowski, who has been with Evans from Melbourne United, the pillar of excitement early, couldn't get a hand to it, and will kick it. Bozeman. There's Short. Ben Hoff for 3, leaves it short. Now we're going to go back the other way.
I like how Melbourne United is sharing the basketball.
Roach the second. Great look. Kerwin Roach the second, I've been reliably told, outstanding triple jumper, right? Which automatically means he's full of agility and excitement as Bozeman tries to go baseline on Roach the second. Gets fouled. Goes to the line for 2. Was that a foul? Right.
Yeah, that's one of those great fouls now that players are getting really good at, drawing contact, getting at the hips of the defender and just throwing the head back. We see that from the Chinese a lot, in that international play. They certainly throw their head back, and when we play in the Sino-Australia Challenge, it frustrates a lot of viewers. But on that occasion, in the United States, you tend to find that players slide their feet, take it in the chest, and that contact, the referee will reward the defence for getting in front. But because we sort of have a bit of a fever flavour to our game, certainly that foul is called more often than not.
Do you like that it's called?
Not necessarily. I think it's, I think it's one of those trivial things in the game where I think the fans would prefer to see less free throw shooting. And
that's great defence by Melbourne United. 5 seconds, even though Ostakowski tried to get the timeout.
Yeah. Welcome to Australia.
I like it. I like what he's trying to do. He's not at all buying what the referee's trying to sell. He's already had 2 chats with the referee, and he's had to go and give a high five to his teammates because he hip and shouldered someone. But it's going to stay with Melbourne United. Barlow and Bozeman, great denial defence.
It's one of those things you learn as a player through coming on these tours. It's understanding that the game's called differently all around the world. There's no timeouts on the end ball in Australia.
Bozeman off the O'Day screen, kicks it out. Barlow goes left, 2 dribbles, pulls up. Great D. Great D.
Call to travel by Chris Reed.
Call to travel, and fair enough too. Andrew Johns gets a good hand there. There was a little split second of reluctance from both the defense and the commentators, but in the end, it's going to go with Texas.
I like how John Chapman, the official's taking his time to explain the rules to the players as he goes, and there was a cross-court earlier on in the game that Coach Smart needed to be explained on as well. Good officiating from our referee.
40 seconds.
So Texas being hit in a hole offensively. They sort of stalled their offensive production as they go onto the bench.
Here's Johns. Oh, almost a travel. In fact, it is a travel. Joyce Hand Jr. Not long into the game. This is what happens with college kids a little bit. The last minute or two, kids are up and down, and essentially it correlates almost perfectly to their age. But the last minute or two of quarters, in particular when you have four quarters compared to two halves, they're so vitally important when it comes to winning basketball games.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of learning as an athlete to concentrate for the full duration of the game. And you see there's the little habits that you fall into in a practice environment. You get away with those travels at times, and of course in situations where maybe the gas has come out of the game a little bit as we close out this quarter, that you fall into that trap.
All right, we're going to very shortly. Daniel Dillon will join us in the second quarter as well. But make sure you do follow Melbourne United. It's number one, not only for all the news, the breaking news, but so much of the behind-the-scenes stuff as well. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat. And, of course, it is going to be the number one place when the announcement of the broadcast of the game against Oklahoma City Thunder in early October. So make sure, if you haven't already, if you liked it or you're following it, if you haven't done it yet, do it right now. Melbourne United HQ.
And while you're doing that, following Melbourne United, make sure you follow Daniel Dillon on Snapchat. One of the funniest Snapchats you will find going around. He finds the quirkiest little things from all over the world that entertain you. And I certainly subscribe to Daniel Dillon's Snapchat, so make sure you do as well.
Well, I tell you what, he's going to have a whole quarter with us in the second, so he can tell us all about what's taking right now his flavour on Snapchat. 23.7 seconds to go here in the first. 10-point Melbourne United lead. After a fairly scrappy start, have been able to find their momentum and deal a lot easier with the tempo the University of Texas were throwing at them. And now an opportunity to extend what is currently a double-digit lead after Texas jumped the gun and led 9-0.
So here's Melbourne United. It's Bozeman, isolated out up the top.
Just running a flat.
Looks like he's going to break his man down one-on-one here. It's Barlow, slips the screen.
Mo Bamba just sitting in the key, waiting for someone. Golding right open three, gets fouled. Got reinserted for this last 23 seconds, and now he'll go to the foul line for 3 foul shots. For the Olympian Chris Golding in his first game back from ankle surgery a couple of months ago.
And I love that Chris Golding learnt last year how to play injured. That's a great example with the defender running out at you. He was able to just keep his feet away from the Texas defender. Last year he rolled that ankle in the game against Brisbane, and it was 6 games missed that were really critical in the course of the season. So I like how he's adapting and learning how to land, especially with guys that run out and try and defend his shot.
Well, Dean Vickerman right now is fairly pleased, put Golding back in. They were able to get a good shot and essentially 3 foul shots, possibly 3 points as that one rattled home. How frustrated are Shaka Smart? The fact is that you give away not only a foul, but 3 foul shots right on quarter time.
Just can't put the referee in that decision, It's if he makes it, great, you shake his hand. If not, you walk down the other end.
Last shot for Texas. Splits it. Barlow gets a hand. In fact, last shot, no, Bumba. Hand by Sam Short. It was a little messy ending for the University of Texas, and they find themselves in a 13-point hole after leading 7-0 to kickstart this game. But as we go to quarter time, it's Melbourne United by 13 points in a packed Nunawading Stadium. We'll get to a break, the second quarter, and Daniel Dillon to join us on the other side. Hasn't signed, and some breaking news at halftime. So looking forward to Vince Cavalli. Before we get to that, joining Rowan Short and myself here in the commentary booth, Daniel Dillon. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, before we get into the game, we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's talk about the unfortunate injury. How's it tracking when it comes to rehab, and where do you sit right now with it?
I'm about 6 weeks in, so I've just, slowly but surely I've been working at it, and I can't really do too much right now. All I can do is kind of let it rest and heal, but I'm eager to get it out of the boot and eager to start strengthening it up so I can get back on the court.
You spoke so much about the fact, you've been in the NBL system before, you've played overseas, and your maturity is a huge reason as to why you got this opportunity. How are you finding dealing with the frustration of sitting on the sideline when you're right there about to lace them back up for Melbourne United?
It's obviously really frustrating, and I've never had a pre-existing injury. I've never had a major injury this will be my 10th season playing professionally, so it was a big shock to me, and it's just the mental thing trying to get over that. So now I'm sitting down for the next 2-3 months, whereas I've been playing for the good thing about it is I'll have this time to get my whole body 100, 110% healthy, and I'd never have this opportunity ever in my career to have this much time off. So that's a positive, I guess I can look at it. And another positive is that I'm home, I'm with my family, and I'm with a great club, Melbourne United, who's taking care of me and trying to get me 110% healthy and back on court.
So what are sort of some of the things you've been doing to progress that rehab as fast as your time? Is Melbourne United, because I know you've got a pretty innovative thinker in there at Collingsworth that's been involved in track and field for a long time. Is there anything in particular you're doing different, or is it pretty much just the standard approach for treatment of Achilles injuries?
It was the difference between me having injury and there's a non-surgical approach. I went with the non-surgical approach, which it's the same time frame, but obviously I'm not having surgery. The gap of the rupture was very small, so it will heal by itself. I just have to give it time right now. Whereas I'm so eager to get back on court. I'm kind of impatient, but I'm not stupid, so I'm just trying to give it that time to heal appropriately, and then I can get back and play with these guys.
What have you made of the first quarter? Melbourne United currently by 12. Mo Bamba just hits the second end of 2 shots. What have you made of Melbourne United early tonight?
Looking very good. For a lot of the guys on the court right now are not on the team currently. They're not contracted, but they're getting their opportunity. I think this is a big stage for them to showcase themselves. But Jerry, he's not on the court right now, but he's played really well in the first quarter and gave them that spark to start off the game, and then they're just following on from that. Texas have a lot of young guys, so they're slowly getting into their rhythm. I'm sure they're just learning their sets, and because they're still in their preseason too. But both teams are looking good, and I'm confident on the United squad out here right now that they can hold this lead.
What do you make of the Texas team in terms of what they've brought here to Australia and the plan? You've had a great career at the University of Arizona. You know the collegiate system really well. What do you think of this University of Texas and this recruiting class?
Texas is an elite college, and they always get high recruits, those top 100 recruits in. But the problem with that is a lot of guys leave early, go to the NBA, and what we see right here is a lot of 18 and 19-year-old really highly talented players and still NBA prospects, but they're just trying to find their way because they're kids, they're teenagers playing against grown men right here.
You're going to see, you speak about one and done, Mo Bamba, and of course a fair bit to play out, but so highly touted, number 2 in the nation when it comes to the Rivals top 100 recruiting style. He you would think will spend the 1 year here. You've been in the system. Is it a good thing for college basketball? This is really becoming the norm compared to 20 years ago where guys played 4 years?
It's good because people love watching college basketball, and obviously University of Texas have a huge following, not only in Texas but around the world. And for them to see a guy like this play college basketball is great, but then it's kind of hard for the organisation because he plays amazing this year, then he leaves, and then you're left again. You have to recruit another class of guys that hopefully will stay and build the program for 4 years, and it's tough. It's difficult for a coach because he's trying to build a program, but you've got guys leaving early, and then you're left with the remains of the rest of the guys playing.
Well, speaking the talent that he is, he just blocks a shot on Majuk on a fadeaway and then dribbles it out and takes it through. Now, it was short, but that's a type of thing that we're seeing athletes do at 6'11" as he nearly blocks Jerry Evans' baseline jump shot there. Majuk gets the rebound. It'll stay this end, but he is as
on the team currently. They're not contracted, but they're getting their opportunity. I think this is a big stage for them to showcase themselves. But Jerry, he's not on the court right now, but he's played really well in the first quarter and gave them that spark to start off the game, and then they're just following on from that. Texas have a lot of young guys, so they're slowly getting into their rhythm. I'm sure they're just learning their sets, and because they're still in their preseason too. But both teams are looking good, and I'm confident on the United squad out here right now that they can hold this lead.
what do you make of the Texas team in terms of what they've brought here to Australia and the plan? You've had a great career at the University of Arizona. You know the collegiate system really well. What do you think of this University of Texas and this recruiting class?
Texas is an elite college, and they always get high recruits, those top 100 recruits in. But the problem with that is a lot of guys leave early, go to the NBA, and what we see right here is a lot of 18 and 19-year-old really highly talented players and still NBA prospects, but they're just trying to find their way because they're kids, they're teenagers playing against grown men right here.
You're going to see, you speak about one and done Mo Bamba, and of course a fair bit to play out, but so highly touted, number 2 in the nation when it comes to the rivals top 100 recruiting style. He you would think will spend the 1 year here. You've been in the system. Is it a good thing for college basketball? This is really becoming the norm compared to 20 years ago where guys played 4 years?
It's good because people love watching college basketball, and obviously University of Texas have a huge following, not only in Texas but around the world. And for them to see a guy like this play college basketball is great, but then it's kind of hard for the organisation because he plays amazing this year, then he leaves, and then you're left again. You have to recruit another class of guys that hopefully will stay and build the program for 4 years, and it's tough. It's definitely difficult for a coach because he's trying to build a program, but you've got guys leaving early, and then you're left with the remains of the rest of the guys playing.
Well, speaking the talent that he is, he just blocks a shot on Majuk on a fadeaway and then dribbles it out and takes it through. Now, it was short, but that's a type of thing that we're seeing athletes do at 6'11", as he nearly blocks Jerry Evans' baseline jump shot there. Majuk gets the rebound. It'll stay this end. But he is, as long as he is, he's almost equally as athletic and agile.
I know, but that's how basketball's evolving these days. You're getting these 7-footers and 6'9", 6'10" guys who are stepping out to the three-point line. There's no longer the banging underneath with the big, heavy bodies of a centre. Now everyone's stepping out and handling the ball a little bit. And I think that's good. It's fun to watch, and it's fun to play that way.
You got to say, and I want to obviously put this on him straight up because I'm not comparing him, but the greatest player to ever play for this college basketball program, Kevin Durant, is a wonderful example of that, isn't it?
Exactly. A lot of teams are trying to recruit that way right now. It was the European standard to have guys like that step out on the perimeter as centres, but now it's getting into college basketball and it's getting into the US, and a lot of guys are teaching kids that kind of style now at a younger age, starting them to dribble early and shoot from the perimeter when they're tall. So it's great that it's following on to college basketball and making some really good pros out there.
So since leaving the NBL, your last season was with the Melbourne Tigers, where I was an assistant coach with you.
You were.
And coming back, what do you see, the differences? You spent some time in Japan. What do you see when you come back, and what have you learnt since being away?
Since coming back, just as far as the Melbourne organisation, obviously I was with you, 5 years ago when I started playing with the Tigers, but Larry's obviously put a lot of his time into not only the league but the United team, and just the professionalism, obviously the broadcasting, but just the day-to-day operations down at United, because I'm still, even though I'm not on the court, I'm still with the guys every day. I go work out there in the morning, and it's just amazing how much effort's been put in to make everything and make everyone feel comfortable and make it professional.
You have been overseas, and the fact that what you just spoke about in the last 2 or 3 years, not only from a club perspective but the whole league and the level that it seems to have risen, is that what essentially made you or helped you make the decision to come back and play in the NBL compared to maybe look at international offers?
It definitely did. There's a lot going on in the league, and I wanted to be here in that time when it's emerging, and for me to think 5 years ago when I left that there'd be the opportunity for a team to play against an NBA team. I mean, I wouldn't even, it just sounds crazy. But Larry's idea and Larry's dreams of where he wants the NBL to be, for us to be playing against Oklahoma City Thunder in a couple months' time is just, it's still crazy for me to even think about.
Are you still getting the ticket? Are you going?
I've got to speak to Vince about that. I think there's going to be a little bit of debating, but I don't think I'm going at the moment. But as Chris Gordon knocks down the three.
Knocks in the baseline triple and one. And after a sluggish start offensively, they've really stand up, and he has led the way, Chris Golding, as you'd expect of a guy of his caliber.
And he'd be a player that you've seen evolve, to go away and come back and see where he is now. He certainly added some elements to his game.
He definitely has. When I left, he was playing for Gold Coast, I'm pretty sure, and he was coming off the bench for Joey Wright, and still had that same swagger to his game and that same spark coming off the bench, hitting the threes. But now he's just taken to another level. a one-dimensional play. He's off the dribble. He's getting to the rim. He's shooting step-back threes. He's doing a lot more. He's added a lot more to his game, and he's really blossomed.
Do you think he's improved defensively? That's obviously been an area that he personally has been pretty critical of over time. But do you see that improvement coming?
I do. I've seen him improve a lot defensively, and defense is not a thing that you have to be talented at. It's just working hard, and he definitely shows that hustle, and he works really hard out there on the defensive end.
Melbourne United keeper, great stuff by Majuk, and the hustle comes off Ostakowski. I'll tell you what we haven't seen yet, Rowan and Daniel, is the fact that we talk so much about Coleman. He's getting some guys some open looks, but he hasn't really attacked the basket like we thought he might have coming into this game.
Now, last night against Dandenong, he certainly had the Jets on at times, but there's a higher calibre of player that you're playing against tonight, so he just hasn't been able to beat his man off the dribble as successfully as he did last night against Dandenong.
As a college athlete, Daniel, and in the past, how hard is it to get used to? Back-to-back games aren't huge. In a tournament, I guess they are a little bit, but normally you don't play back-to-back. Will they be struggling a little bit with maybe having to front up 24 hours later?
For sure, they're struggling a little bit with fatigue and from playing yesterday, but these guys have come off an international flight a couple of days ago too, and that could factor into it. But I'm sure they haven't played as many games. I think these are their first 2 games they played in the preseason, so they're still behind on where they need to be for the seasons coming up in a couple. Well, they don't start till October, November, all their preseason games, so for sure there's a lot of fatigue in there right now.
Daniel, come on now.
Yeah.
Yes.
They flew business class.
Yeah, they did.
They are staying at the Crown Plaza.
Yeah.
How much possible fatigue is there?
No, that is spoken like a guy who loved the collegiate system and all that it brings, and it is wonderful.
I'm trying to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. I played last season in Japan with 2 rookie guys that graduated from University of Texas, and I know they're probably listening and watching right now. And I was trying to say, Melbourne United are going to smash you guys. And they were giving me we flew, they're going to fly across. This will be their second game, but it's true, they're flying business class. I'm sure they got treated well.
Melbourne United, this quarter in particular, as the lead gets out to 17, are pushing it down the throats every time there's a turnover. Coleman turns it over there for Texas, and it comes back, and Wesley for 3. There's Ostakowski. Here's Coleman. Huge raps. Haven't seen a great deal from him just yet.
You know, Texas have just hit an offensive scoring drought. There's only 3 points so far in this quarter. Just can't get anything going offensively.
Well, that's what Dean's been preaching before the game, is just contested shots and getting over screens on defense, and they're actually charting that right now as contested shots on. It's good to be doing that before the game and then seeing it on the court right now. It's amazing.
We spoke a little bit off the top, and you mentioned it as well, the guys like Bozeman and Evans and O'Day, guys who haven't got a contract, not at Melbourne, but, there's NBL people watching left, right and centre. Those informal scrimmages we've heard a fair bit about, they've been happening all through winter. I'm assuming you spent a little bit of time down there, and talks a little bit about not only how much they helped you, but how much they helped some of these guys to play against my guys.
It helps a lot of these guys because when they're playing in the Big V or CBL competition, that's a pretty high caliber. But to have all the best Americans, and then you have obviously the Melbourne United players, you have Dante Exum down there some days, you've got Joe Ingles. That's a high caliber pickup game. It might be the best caliber pickup game that'll be in the country at the moment. So for these guys to work against players like that and get better, it's something they've never had an opportunity of doing. And they've used that. There we go, Ty Wesley. They've used that to showcase themselves in those close scrimmages, and now they're playing on a bigger stage against University of Texas, probably one of the biggest stages they've played on.
Damon Bozeman is playing for Lean in the Big V there, pushes it up. We'll see 2 shots to Ty Wesley off a foul, but he's a guy against China a month or so ago was really impressive, not only offensively, because you probably have to find your niche a little bit when you're not in there on the 10 or 12-man roster, but defensively and definitely hustling. He was a guy that impressed me a month ago against those Chinese guards.
Yeah, he played really well against those Chinese guards, and it's hard for a guy that's not in the contracted 10, not in the Melbourne United squad, but he's the leader of the team right now. He's the driver of the team because he's playing the point guard spot. And so for him to get into the game, he knows he needs to play defense and set other guys up, and I think he's doing a really good job of that. He did it well against China, and he's doing it well tonight.
Daniel, talk me through how difficult it is for guys to come play internationally. I mean, you went to a couple of countries where you don't speak English. It's really hard to form social networks. How difficult is it to integrate into programs, go to a different country and play basketball?
It's difficult, but you get used to it. It's like coming to a new team, but obviously everyone doesn't speak English. I think the last year was the hardest for me in Japan because there was really no one that spoke English. My coach didn't speak English, whereas in Europe, a lot of people speak English or they understand English, so the cultural shock wasn't as big for me. I was able to communicate with people without a translator. I was able to understand the coach's feedback during the games. I was able to talk to my teammates during the games, whereas some places you can go, for example, Japan, where you're struggling with all those kind of conversations on the court and off the court. So that was the hardest part, but I enjoyed myself. A lot of the countries I played in, I really enjoyed myself on the court and off the court.
I can see that from your Snapchat, Matt. I can see that you enjoyed yourself.
And I think that's the hardest part about being injured right now is I don't give you any more Snapchats, surely.
That's right. And tell me a little bit about, you grew up around here, you played at Nuttawading. What's your memories of this facility and playing basketball here?
Oh, wow, that's going way back. That's going back to the Sandringham Sabres and the Bulleen Boomers days, but really great memories. We had, championship games here, playing like under 14s, under 16s and stuff like that. Really fond memories, but it's amazing to see how much the game's grown. I never thought I would have seen this caliber teams playing each other with 600, 700 people crowd watching. It's pretty amazing. But basketball's really grown in Melbourne and the country as a whole. So it's amazing to come back after 5 years and see how big it's gotten. Most of that due to Larry with the professional program, but right down through the grassroots to the youth and juniors. It's really amazing.
A lot of kids here tonight, Daniel. How much does it motivate them to have an NBL and a college team in their backyard?
Well, I never really got a chance to see this kind of stuff when I was growing up. I think the last college team I got to see was the 1997 Arizona Wildcats who played at Sandringham. And so for kids to, drive to their local club and see one of the best teams in Australia versus one of the best elite programs of college in the US, it's really great for them and something for them to aspire to, knowing that they can be at this kind of level and they can get recruited by these kind of colleges and play on such a big stage like this.
Pick and roll. There's Bamba inside, leaves it short off the iron again, and Evans, who's been brilliant so far. Bozeman, he's got Coleman locked up at the moment, playing well as well, will reset. Majuk. The hip check inside, all open. We've seen that a lot. We've seen that a lot. Wasn't overly pretty, but 2 points is 2 points in particular when it's a dunk.
Really liked how Hooley's come in the game and started to, just finds the extra guy, finds the late pass in a pick and roll situation, draws a trap. It just takes his time. He's a really composed player at that point guard's position.
He really is. He's been playing with Ballarat along with another Melbourne United player. And he's doing a good job of converting his game from the shooting guard to the point guard. And that's what this team really needs right now is someone to make the play, someone to hustle on defense and defend the point guards. And he's doing a good job of that.
Now, did you, without knowing the fixture, did you see him when you were playing Kilsyth for Ballarat? Did you play against each other this year?
No, I didn't get a chance to play against him. I only played 4 games for Kilsyth, but him and Craig Moll have been doing a good job at Ballarat, and I think they're leading the conference in the other. They were in a different conference to us, but they're doing a great job. They'll be in the semi-finals next week, and then Craig gets back for the final. So
here is Bozeman, goes baseline, and may have just put it out of call. Too long in the key. 3 seconds at the key.
Chris Reed with one of those phantom calls on the weak side.
Not exactly a call you see a great deal in adult basketball, but 3 seconds is there, and University of Texas will go back the other way.
We should probably acknowledge that University of Texas have gone into a zone defense. So maybe Chris saw a defender in there for 3 seconds.
Matt Johns comes in for his first action for United. Here's Coleman with inside Subamba. What will he do? On Wesley. Distinct height advantage. Drops it inside. Sims!
Oh, my goodness.
We've seen him last night be able to pivot and spin and throw it down 2 hands on a couple of Rangers defenders, and there he was able to explode straight up and throw it down. And they're the type of effort, Shorty, that we really need to see Texas come up with and get the whole team excited and pumped up again.
It doesn't give you a lot of confidence when you get subbed directly into the game and directly get dunked on by an 18-year-old. It doesn't give you a lot of confidence.
Is that the time where you sort of just look around, just try and pretend like you got picked off in a screen that wasn't called, to try and just give it to anyone else?
Exactly. You just don't want to smile for the camera. That's all you don't want to do.
Well, this is really testing Vickerman. You know, they wouldn't have spent a lot of time breaking down zone defense. So, you know, this might just be the momentum shift that Texas are looking for offensively.
Barber knocks it out. They're a hard team to probably play against the zone as well because they're so athletic and so long, this Texas team. So sometimes it looks like there might be 6 players out there, in particular when your linchpin Barber is in the middle and he's essentially got a 7'5" wingspan.
But they're really long, and you watch on their baseline out of bounds and sidelines out of bounds, they're initially playing a zone and then they kind of match up what they're doing right now. But I'm sure that Dean has a couple players against the zone, and we're working on that before the Chinese series, and they're for sure working on that in the shoot-around today. So you can see them moving through actions now.
Izuli gets it knocked off his hip, off his knee. It's going to go to University of Texas.
It's not a bad strategy when you got a guy 6'11" fill in the middle of the paint either.
Exactly. You let him take up as much space as possible.
They started 7-0, University of Texas. Now they find themselves 17 points down. That tempo has dropped off just a little bit.
Really looking for Dylan and Sikowski to get into this game. And last night he was just the engine room, and we saw at the start of this game plenty of energy, but he's really flattened out as this game's gone on.
We spoke at the top of the broadcast, Daniel, about the fact that the way that University of Texas play full court and how will the tempo go with essentially not a pure point guard for Melbourne United, but it's actually, as the game's gone on, it's gone the other way. Texas have struggled with the actual full court defense of Melbourne.
I think so, and I think they're noticing a little bit of fatigue right now. There's only so long you can keep up the full court pressure where your defense breaks down and then your offense breaks down. I think this is where they're kind of fatiguing a little bit as Melbourne United pick up the pressure on defense and offense for themselves.
I know it's been a little while, but what the comparison between a collegiate basketball preseason when you're at Arizona compared to an NBL preseason? Is there much differences? Is it more on physicality? Is it more on aerobic capacity? What are the differences, or maybe even the same?
I think it really depends on the school, but a lot has changed. I'm starting to feel old now, but I feel like I was in college many moons ago. But at my program, all we did was play 5-on-5 pickup, mandatory every single day for about 2.5 hours. And that was our conditioning. Whereas some schools, you'll be running the mile, you'll be doing sprints, you'll be doing conditioning, and that's what they do. I think Texas is one of those programs that rely a lot on their conditioning. And they would have a very rigorous preseason for sure, because when I was in college, we didn't have to go to summer school. We didn't have to stay there the whole summer. I would come back to Melbourne. I'd work out with the Melbourne Tigers in my college break. Whereas these guys in college now, they're there. They don't get breaks in the summertime. They're there full year. Maybe they'll get a couple of weeks off, but most of these colleges are there full year. And that's the thing that's made college sports and professional sports more professional, is these guys are taking it more seriously. Not that we didn't take it seriously, but
more seriously.
Just more, you know it is, Shorty.
I know what you're saying. I just tease you.
It's just the times. It's just how the times develop.
Barlow hits his second three down one end. Farmer gets a nice pass from Dylan Osikowski, goes to the line and nails the second after missing the first. Lead back to 17 as we close on at half-time here at Nunawading Basketball Stadium. Melbourne United be the Texas Longhorns.
I suppose if you can't score, you can't press either for Texas.
No.
And they haven't been able to score, so they haven't been able to apply that relentless pressure that they had last night against Dandenong, and that's limited some of their scoring.
I'm always in big favour of defense makes the offense, but at the same time, if you're doing all the rah-rah defense and you're not scoring, you watch the guys just stop for the rah-rah defense, and then what you see is you have no defense and no offense. If these guys can't get any easy buckets off the defense, transition, easy makes from their offense, then they're going to struggle on defense both.
Confidence leads to intensity and excitement. So if you're feeling good and essentially you feel better when you're nailing shots or you're getting nice looks and you're dunking or whatever it is. So it amps you up where you're able to play that full court defense that Sharka Smarters want. When you're seeing your three-pointers be long rebounds and go the other way for the opposition, it automatically just chips away your confidence and your intensity.
Definitely. You need to find a spark. There's been a lot of sparks come off the Melbourne United bench. Goulding's been lighting it up. Jerry's been doing a really good job. Bozeman and Peter Hooley. Whereas Texas is struggling to find that spark guy.
Could it be Coleman?
It could be Coleman.
one of their big problems last year that they couldn't really hit the three ball. They only shot the three ball at 29% from the field. And tonight we haven't necessarily seen a lot of long range. As
Sims for three, he leaves it long, and Barlow will get another rebound and push it back. Then off for three, there you go. Sims gets above the rim. They're going to push it the other way.
Don't forget, at halftime we have one big announcement to make.
You know, it's that big, they're not going to let us do it. They're going to bring the CEO, Vince Pavelli, in to be able to make that announcement. So that gives it a little bit of an idea. As Bamba inside, pivot, jump hook off the rim, and they're going to push the other way. Von Hoff, short, open in the three. He goes the other way to Hooley.
Nice.
Long rebound, and they'll reset.
Another momentum killer is if you give up offensive rebounds. The coaches hate that, and he'll be yelling at these players soon at this halftime talk.
Here's Barlow, kicks it out. Short's been there for about 15 minutes. That one was just off the iron. Davis will come back. Ostakowski wants it inside. There's Bamba at the top. The spark plug from last night in their win against Dandenong. Leaves it long off the iron.
Daniel, do you know the big secret that's coming in halftime?
I do, but I'd get Larry sitting over there too. Vince is right next to me. If I leak it out, then I'm in a world of trouble. I'm already injured. Don't make me get in any more trouble.
Yeah. These guys travel with a lot of people, don't they?
Yes, they do. In college, there was about maybe 13, 14 players, but I see these 5 players on the court and about 20 on the bench, and then there's masseuses, there's 18 assistant coaches, there's boosters, there's a whole travelling carnival.
Did the booster come on the team plan, or did he charter his own over?
But that's how colleges do. That was the same with my college. If we go on the road, everyone will be with us. College, boosters.
Did you travel it like? Did you have an international trip when you were at Arizona, or did you travel much? What was your pre-season like when it comes to games?
Every 4 years there was an international trip,
yep.
And they would do Australia every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Lute Olsen came out here with the 1997 national championship team. But when I was there, we didn't have enough players because of guys wanting to declare for the draft, the guys transferring, whatever, injured players. We didn't have an international trip, which I was pretty upset about, because we were supposed to go to Africa, Italy, and Spain. But the same team are in Spain right now. Arizona's over in Spain playing against Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Eric Davis Jr. hits his first points of the night. United at the last shot of the game. It's Barlow from 18 foot off the iron. Kept alive by Von Hoff. Cooley too late off a Sam Short long rebound. It's short, and that'll do it. Half-time, Melbourne United by 15 points here at Nunawading. Very shortly, Roy Ward from the Age to join us as well to talk us through this second half. But at half-time, it's 43-28. It is Melbourne United by 15 points as we kickstart the second half with the same starters as we did to start this game. Just a quick look at the stats there, Shorty, to tell us the estate of the first half.
Yeah, for the Texas Longhorns, the leading scorer was Dylan Osakowski. He had 7 points. He was on 3 of 5 shooting. Probably not enough shots for him. And Mo Bamba had 6 points. And same thing, he only took 6 shots for the game. So they'll be looking for a little bit more offensive production from the fans. Meanwhile, Melbourne United, leading all scorers there was Chris Golding with 15. He was sensational on 2 of 4 shooting from 3 and 3 of 6 from the field. And he certainly, along with Evans, was the spark off the bench for Melbourne United. In that half, Texas only shot 13 points, and Melbourne have extended out to a 15-point lead at the half.
Oh, there you go. Goes based on no foul. Very, very stiff, you would have thought. Let's go the other way. Here's Bozeman. Wesley fakes up Bamba, gets right around him. Probably too easy for a guy who essentially has shown a fair bit of agility. He's able to fight back and get the rebound. As we welcome in from the Age here in Melbourne, lead basketball writer Roy Ward. Roy, good evening to you.
Good evening, guys, and thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
Well, it's an exciting game. It's Melbourne United by 15. We might just touch quickly on. I know you were there last night when Texas took on Dandenong, and 2,000 people got into the arena and loved what was a pretty high-quality game.
Oh, it's fantastic. They are super fast, Texas. Their shooting needs a lot of work. I think their coach acknowledged that. But their speed up and down the court when they can run and defend is outstanding. They're up 12 too early. Their press was excellent. And the big guy threw down dunks. He knocked down a 3, showed us a little bit.
Ostakowski sits it out. There's Coleman. Wide open three, which they haven't been able to hit. Another long rebound, and Ostakowski runs it down. Andrew Jones struggling from the field.
They're now 1 of 11 from three-point range.
There's Coleman. That's what we know. Highly touted freshman, number 18 in the country, and that's a nice move.
And in the second quarter, he started to get on the rim a little bit as we were talking to Daniel Dillon, because 1 of 11 for three-point shooting for Texas isn't good enough. And when you can't score from deep, you've got to get on the rim.
And he can do that. And he's been a USA junior as well. He's got some real court speed. So looking forward to seeing him grow. I think he's got a lot of growth in his game.
In particular, if you're not going to be able to shoot the free ball, we're already seeing Mo Bamba is actually a fairly good passer out of double team, as is Dylan Ostakowski. So if you're getting the big guy inside and you're getting collapsing defense, you flip it outside, you see the guards continuing to misfire. It gets frustrating on so many different levels.
And talking to Coach Smart last night, he was loving the way the two big guys work together, particularly Ostakowski and Bamba. And I tell you, the big guy Dylan, he'll be a fantastic overseas import when he's out of college. He's going to be a real good fit somewhere.
There's Bamba just inside the three-point line. He knocks it down as the Texas Longhorns 4-zip start to this third quarter, second half of third quarter. So that's a really good start. Just on Ostakowski, he's a type of guy who's going to be a cult figure. There's no doubt about it. He brings energy, he brings excitement. He's going to get involved in a number of scraps I can already see in this college season, but it's something that I think is going to energise this team as he tried to do early tonight.
Yeah, he reminds me very much of Mark Worthington, Roy. Gets involved in the dirty stuff off the ball. He likes a little jump shot. He doesn't mind handling it. He defends and bangs down deep, as we see there. You see the same things?
I heard Tony Ronaldson as a comparison, but I think he's a little more agile. Wertho's an excellent one. But for our Texan audience, these guys are Australian Olympians. We're talking about international guys who have played a little bit all over the world. So people we love watching, that's for sure.
I'm not quite sure that the Bear was as emotive at different times. I've never seen Tony Ronaldson giving high fives because he hip-checked the guy off the ball. But I do like the comparison in body shape and the way they're able to move the floor and pass, and obviously a bit of range as well.
Oh, look, just go and get some, as they say. Just go
exactly
in there,
right.
Go in there, make a ruckus.
Hey, Roy, you're a hardcore basketball fan. How excited do you get to be able to see? We've touched off the top. We've seen Ben Simmons, we've seen Markel Fultz, we've seen Lonzo Ball, we've seen college powerhouse teams in the last couple of years. How much do you enjoy seeing these teams in their own backyard?
It's an incredible opportunity, and sadly before now, I think people haven't really realised that because it's not massively promoted here, that these games are happening and these players are here. I mean, last night people were paying $10 to watch Texas, $10 Australian dollars, probably like $6.50 American, And going back 2 years previous, Jaylen Brown and Cal were out here. I watched him play at Frankston, which is a similar size venue to this, and it was incredible to get this close to guys who were such superstar talents. And for these NBL guys and Siebel guys, it's incredible for them to test themselves against some elite talent.
As we see Coleman starting to go to work a little bit. The evolution of his game is he's going to need a pull-up jump shot eventually because, once he gets his head on the rim, he's difficult to deal with. But if he can't hit that mid-range J, he's certainly a little bit limited.
Do you think he maybe listened to some of the criticism we gave him in the second quarter, Shorty? And reckon that could be it, or reckon Shaka Smart might have mentioned something?
I'm pretty sure, seeing how Smart dances up and down the sideline, he wouldn't have been too shy to say, hey, mate, get on the rim a little bit more. But I like the way he plays. I felt last night he really brought some guys into the game as well as look at his own game. And, he's an important component to his freshman class.
He will be, and particularly if you haven't got shooting going, you're going to need different guards, interchanging, attacking, getting feet in the paint, because they're going to get tired playing up and down like this. So if they've got fresh legs in there, I really can't wait to see what Roach, Jones and Coleman can all do together. I think that's going to be impressive.
That's what happens when you gamble on Chris Goulding. He knocks down the triple on that lead, which was single figures for the first time in a while, back at the 12.
Great comments from Shaka Smart before they left. He was saying that a lot of these guys haven't been overseas. They don't know about the professional players. They don't know the quality, and now they're seeing it.
They really are. As Ostakowski, again, not happy, but in a body foul. We're going to see and one.
Just for our American audience, I mean, we know lots of people tuning in tonight from this morning in Texas.
Yeah, 4 a.m.
4 a.m. Oh, it's
5 a.m.
6:15 in the morning, I think it is, or something like that. 6:15 or 7:15. There's some serious talent, Australian talent and New Zealand talent in Ty Wesley out on the floor.
And Chris Goulding, I'm sure you guys have used the word Rio Olympian sometime 2 or 3. there is elite talent, and there's guys who, in the future, are Sam Short and Matthew Johns, Majuk, who could be playing for Australia as well.
I tell you what, I was thinking about this before. Goulding, who has been impressive tonight, and of course the main offensive threat as he normally is for Melbourne United. Casper Ware, now we've got Casey Prater definitely there. I was actually thinking how much I think it'll benefit him, as much as he would have been frustrated. No FIBA Asia Cup, no off-season, maybe not an NBA Summer League with the ankle injury. But he's been playing continual basketball for a number of years now. The Rio Olympics or any Olympic year takes so much out of an athlete in a team sport such as this, where the season then pushes straight into it. So I think the mental break, as much as the physical break outside the ankle, is going to help Chris Goulding get into this year.
Well, you've got to take it back a step further. For teams in Australia, that the year before the Olympics is just as important because you've got to qualify.
Of course.
So 2015 was all about qualifying, very stressful. 2016 about getting your spot on the roster. NBL seasons in between. This is his first break in a long time, and I had a quick chat to him the other week, and he was saying the ankle surgery has refreshed him, mentally he's refreshed, and he can get off the ground. He was dunking off 2 feet, which for Chris is a very difficult task at the best of times. It shows that his ankle's strong, and that's going to be a big deal for the Australian League and for the Boomers as well, because we have big games coming up in November and February, a World Cup qualifiers.
And that certainly might affect Melbourne United with David Anderson and Chris Goulding certainly in the mix for that. And it's a pretty important time for Australian basketball to just consolidate itself. We've had a good last couple of years, got some wonderful NBA talent, but, do you feel like the interruption to the NBL season for FIBA qualifying is going to have effect to some teams?
It's going to be a question mark. I know some of the, like talking to Andre Lamanis, the Boomers coach, and the other coaches, they're saying, well, how do we do it? Paul Ianari in New Zealand, he coaches the national team in New Zealand. He loses his whole team except his imports, and he loses himself.
Yeah.
So what do they do in that time? I mean, the assistant takes over, the young kids train, but there's a lot of lay time for those other guys. So there's all kinds of great questions, but this is the reality. You've got to be able to suck it up and play and make it happen.
So to the basket, gets the roll on the left.
Terrific play, heading left. He drew the contact and was able to finish strong. But I agree with you, Roy. It is about loading, but a lot of these teams now are becoming far more sophisticated with loading. We see all Melbourne United tonight wearing GPS monitors, monitoring load. So, the education about how to manage some of these players is certainly coming into our game at the Australian level.
Probably also lucky we don't have many restrictions on that kind of thing here. I know in the NFL and some of the American leagues, they're quite stringent on what can be tested and what can be recorded, but here it's go nuts. They should be testing us, really. They should have GPSs on you guys, testing your heart rates and some of your figures. I'm a bit worried about you boys.
We are going to see as well, keeping in mind, we could possibly play for you. If the Breakers needed a couple of guys just to roll on in, play no defence and jack up a lot of threes, my number's there. But we're going to then see the Commonwealth Games, which is a novel, outside of 2006, is a novel approach for an NBL team and the Australian Boomers as well.
And again, big question mark, what do you do in that time of year? How do you stay fit, out of season going into the competition? Lots of question marks, but it's going to be great. And we got Canada in that competition too, don't forget. So Canada, New Zealand, Australia. I wish we had a regular series because we're 3 very good basketball nations who could do some really good things and help each other by getting more games.
And don't discount Team GB either. They've invested heavily in their basketball programs over the last couple of years. And when the Melbourne 2006 Commonwealth Games were here, it really was between Australia and New Zealand. But now with Canada really will present a team that they want to work with for the next couple of years. So, I'm excited about the Commonwealth Games. I think it's an important competition, and I think there'll be some NBL players that get an opportunity to represent their country that may not be getting an opportunity as part of the FIBA qualifying period.
Texas needed a spark, and Coleman has been that spark so far in his third quarter, knocks a 3. Evans, who started the game particularly well with the layup there, and the gets league back to 11. But we're seeing we spoke about fatigue with Daniel Dillon in that second quarter. We're now seeing a little more up-tempo, energised Texas team on the back of their point guard, who in his second game in Texas colours is actually starting to show what he's worth.
And they're starting to play through their stars, whereas they lost their way in that second quarter, didn't get enough shots, as we see Bumba. His skills on the right hand, drawing the fouls there on O'Day.
Guys, can I just say, I love the physicality off the ball outside the whistle in this game.
Yeah.
There is nothing better than watching a pre-season game with a bit of heart in it. Get the bumps in, get the trash talk going, get the energy up. It might be an international friendly. Don't leave it friendly on the court. Go to work.
I know, essentially Bumba with the freshman, Coleman a freshman. We're seeing some of these, I think they've got 5 freshmen on their roster, so this is kind of irrelevant to those guys, but the college system, you don't see that a great deal. College teams, you don't see bumping and grinding. And the moment there's a bump, there's double-tick fouls called. You see it more in, domestic comps right around the world. So it's a little bit of a foreign concept, but it's something that no doubt toughens you up for your college season when you finally get around to it.
You can't take a backward step. Just picture Melbourne like it's a Big 12 showdown or something.
Hooley back in for United, who had a really impressive first half when he got minutes. Bozeman on the back door. Great pass by Wesley. Kick out. O'Day, Hooley. Great ball movement. Jerry Evans, who started the game as the Energizer Bunny, who really kept Melbourne United in it. You spoke about that jump shot, though, Shorty. There's another one he had there that hasn't been able to knock it down.
Yeah, most definitely sort of been his, limitation. He's active. He puts the ball to the floor pretty well. And, the evolution of him as a professional basketball is developing that shot right out to three-point range.
There's Bumper for three on O'Day. Leaves it short. Hooley with the long rebound. They'll push it again. Melbourne, they've done it particularly well so far.
It's Bumper's third three in the game. And like I said earlier, I'm not too afraid of him learning to shoot that shot in the game.
Well, he can shoot it in streaks, and talked to him last night, and I was really impressed with how he presented himself and handled the media side of things, because a 19-year-old kid's had trouble with that, but he just said, I've got to get more consistent. I can do it. I just got to do it more consistently. And he can. Nice release, nice arc in his shot. I think he's got something there.
Texas have just come out with a lot more energy.
Evans again with that long reach. We've spoken about the length of Texas. Evans has been one for Melbourne. He's been able to deny another high-low pass there when Sims would have had an easy dunk had he have got it. Here's Wesley on Sims. Kicks out. O'Day. Smart move to turn away from Bumbo. In the end, it was short. Texas will push it back the other way. That's a charge.
No matter what country you're in, you put down that shoulder, you stick it through someone's chest, you're getting the big fist on the offensive foul.
And not necessarily a call that's always been their role, and you would have been involved. The shoulder down, if the defender was moving, he more often than not actually picked up the foul, but it's good to see stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the situation there was like he just had nowhere to go, and, the official deemed that, he wanted to reward the defender for doing all the hard work, but it's one of the hardest calls in the game to make on the fly, and but that one in particular, head down, he could have Euro stepped in, could have done something a little bit different, could have ran into a floater, but not successful on that occasion.
Hooley, great pass. Majuk can't finish it inside. Daniel tip it back for a second time.
Something to note about Pete Hooley, he is a real hot and cold player. He can get very, very hot. He can get pretty cold too. He's had some games in the semi-pro league over winter, 38, 39 points, then had 15s and 16s. But he's a very promising talent, and he's still a young man. He's still learning this game.
Here's Oskowski, who started off well. Taking on Bozeman, kicks it outside. David,
man.
Yeah, that is a bad call. That's the frustration that Shaka Smart was feeling at half-time when they gave Chris Golding 3 foul shots. Is the same now that Dean Vickerman will be thinking. As you see Andrew Jones go to the foul line for 3 shots.
Just the over-enthusiastic nature of running out to defend a three-point shot. You got a nice little handy 11-point lead, and they're struggling from three-point range right now. There's just no need to draw contact on that whatsoever.
Absolutely, and this is why it's pre-season, isn't it? You get these kinks out of the system, get the silliness out, but I dare say Dean Vickerman will be raising it with him rather promptly.
Well, in fact, he's even sat him, Roy.
There you go.
Even better answer when you do that.
Statement sub right there.
Jones, who has struggled from the field tonight, trying to find his groove from the foul line, nails the first 2.
He was very good last night too, and he's one of their leading scorers last year, so he's someone with a lot of scoring ability. Just needs to get that shot more consistent, and I like what he's got. I think he can improve that shooting with a bit of time and energy.
Yeah, he went to the NBA Combine in May and, just convinced, I think, once the recruiting class came together to come back for another year. And just looking at him tonight, he certainly doesn't have NBA pizzazz. No. So, another year under his belt, he might be served a whole lot better.
Great move by Peter Hooley, lead back out to 10. I think based on what we've seen, and this is 2.5 quarters we've seen and 4 last night, he wasn't going to get drafted.
No.
And too often you see in the NBA or in the United States, a college player who's on the periphery, who plays at a high profile, put up some numbers, second highest scorer. I'm not sure if they get bad advice or they leave college eligibility on on the floor, and they test the market, and it doesn't work out. And I think too often than not, you see them make a bad decision.
But they were last in the Big 12 last year. So he's a good player on a bad team.
Exactly.
You got to put that into context as well.
And he's going to be with good big guys this year. I mean, Ostakowski, Bamba, Sims and Banks, they'll get him some more opportunity just by being big and athletic and making things happen. By the way, I really liked Kerwin Roach's game last night. He got up for a big two-hand dunk, made some good plays. He's got something.
Unbelievably athletic. You talk about in the college system a bit of luck and timing. Now, Jonah Bolden, of course, drafted by the 76ers and going to play, of course, in Europe for a couple of years, or at least one before he gets a crack at it. I would have loved to see Jonah Bolden at UCLA with Lonzo Ball, because I reckon his draft stocks would have gone through the roof, because he's the type of player who would have enjoyed playing with a guy who pushes it up the floor and gives it up at every opportunity.
The big issue our players have, or every player in college has, you've got to have the minutes and the opportunities. With some of the other forwards and playing three guards like UCLA did, Jonah might not have got that opportunity. He didn't really get it the year before. So he did well in Europe, and some guys just need to play professionally against men and show what they can do.
Dave Barlow strokes his third three of the night, lead back out to 13.
Dave Barlow, two-time Olympian as well, very highly accredited Australian veteran.
Sam Short then just caught for the reach. It'll be Bumba to go to the free throw line.
We spoke about the fact that quarters are so big, finishing the last 2 minutes, Shorty, and here we are, another opportunity. They had it back to 9. It's back out to 13. Texas has to make sure that this last minute and a half isn't something that goes the way of the first and second period.
Yeah, they haven't played all that well in comparison to last night. We did say it's a step up in class for them, most definitely. But I did see signs of this quarter of a little bit more energy, a little bit more spark, a little bit more purposeful play. And just these periods in the games of basketball, you're in single digits heading into the fourth quarter. Certainly is that emotional, psychological barrier that helps you close out games.
Mo Bamba knocks down the second. Roy, Casey Prater, Vince Crivelli knocked it at half-time.
Amazing. Just amazing. I didn't believe it when I first heard it. I heard a little whisper and I thought, well, yeah, are they really going to be able to do this? Are they going to be able to afford this and make this happen? And they've made it happen, so all credit to them. Commiserations to our friends in WA. I think there's going to be a lot of unhappiness from the West, but
you are
they're
not
still going to be good.
Disappointed because Lockie Riggs broke the story first. Now you get to cover Casey Prather all year.
I love a story, but I'll take covering Casey. If we can go to another final series again, that'd be fantastic, because I hate being out of business during the playoffs. I want to be in there. So.
It is going to stir some stuff up, though. Surely.
You got to understand, Perth and Melbourne already have a rivalry, already have a different inferiority complexes between the two of them, the two teams and the two cities. So this is just going to add to it. But look, Melbourne's recruited stars from other teams before and still screwed up their season. Cedric Jackson. And you just got to be honest on it. They haven't made it work when they've gone out and got other talent. So now they've got to make it work. But I really like what they can do.
He's get up. Again, and one. That's a huge move from a man who just hit a three a moment ago. Active defensively. He was going to try and throw it down. Peter Horn is giving him a good professional foul. And he's been able to finish. Athleticism galore.
Core strength. Look at that. He took a hit right to the middle. He spun around. He stayed up. He finished. Now, sometimes it's luck, but that's some strength you've added on.
Yeah, and this is the spark they needed. They now narrow this potentially to 6 points with 40 seconds to play. This is what everyone came out for tonight. I know we've made this fairly light tonight so far, but we're heading into a fourth quarter. Neither team's going to back down tonight. This is boys versus men.
Well, men versus men if Texas play hard. So I love it. This is why they have these tours. I wish they let these college teams tour every year. It's foolish that they let them have those silly rules about, you can only come every 2 or 3 years or something. Let the kids travel. Let them enjoy the time of being in college abroad. Let them get this experience, because these guys, the best guys, are going to end up playing internationally. They should be exposed to it now. It's part of their education, just like the classroom.
And essentially when you see, the one and done, which we've spoken a fair bit about, they are going to be playing. A lot of these guys are playing professionally in 12 months' time. So get out there and actually learn a bit of what pro basketball's about.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more.
Short off the Barlow screen. Back to Barlow. Shot particularly well. Majuk outside.
Felix Van Hoff.
The three.
And that's what he did. Felix, his time at Eastern Washington was just sit there on the three-point line and knock a few daggers.
He can do it too, but a lot of improvement for Felix if he wants to make that move into the NBL, I think. Needs to find a role, needs to get a bit more beyond his jump shot, but I'd love to have that shot, Shorty. I think I'd average 15 with it easy.
He once shot 23 in the Big Sky Conference tournament, and he's a great, likeable guy.
He is lovely.
To me, Felix will have a long history in the NBL because he's going to be a glue guy to some teams, and guys love working out with him because he just goes hard.
He reminds me...
Mitchell reads it. And Melbourne United get the last shot.
So they were within 6, and now United had the chance the last shot. It's Barlow.
Barlow got it.
And what a dagger to Texas. They got within 6. And now as we look up at that scoreboard, it's a 13-point swing back to Melbourne United. That's a big basket at the end of the quarter, a heartbreaker.
Really fills my heart with joy to see Barlow hit that shot. Yep. He's a 33, 34-year-old man, been through a killer.
NBL pre-season, Nunawading Basketball Stadium. We are into Melbourne United, fourth quarter, 65. Texas Longhorns, 52, a 13-point lead to United. It was back to 6 after Kerwin Roach II had a 6-point run, but it's back out to 13. And Melbourne United staring at a win. And it's night in front of the grassroots basketball stadium that we call Nunawading. Casey Prater, officially a Melbourne United player, half-time.
You should see Facebook is blowing up. Facebook and Roy Ward's Twitter account is blowing up. Casey Prater, a Melbourne United star in the making.
Into the zone for Melbourne United to kickstart this fourth quarter. What do you make of, considering Texas haven't been able to really hit long-range threes so far? Ostakowski tries to prove me wrong, and he doesn't.
It has been the story of the game, though. You know, they've certainly made runs, and teams are going to make runs in the game, but they just haven't been able to stretch Melbourne United at all, and finding it hard going with only 52 points at the start of the fourth quarter.
Short, deep inside by himself, just flips it up, scores. Majuk, Cooley. I like Short and Barlow, one for Melbourne United.
You know, Dean Vickerman, I like his attitude. You know, this is a preseason game, but they're full court pressing. These guys are into it. Majok's out, Barlow's out on the floor, Hooley's out on the floor. This means something. This means something.
Back to 15. As I said, had it back to 6. Ostakowski, who was full of energy early, was great last night as well against Dandenong in that win, which was their first game as a group, this Texas team, but has sort of petered out of the game after the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, he's put a lid on it, I suppose, but he's trying to make things happen. See, put the ball to the floor there, but he's been guarded by an Olympian in Dave Barlow.
That's true. Is Coleman, who lifted the intensity in the third quarter. Highly touted freshman point guard, will have a big role to play this year. Throws it up, Bumper, and grabbed, and couldn't finish. Good professional foul by Barlow, which is what we actually seen last night when they threw a lob early to Bumper, and
yeah, we haven't seen anything too spectacular. We saw the two-handed jam early in the midway through the second quarter. I think it was from Roach, yeah, they certainly haven't given them those looks tonight. A really good professional foul from Barlow drawing the contact, and Bumper actually has shot pretty well from the free throw line tonight so far. Bumper now with 11 points and 7 rebounds, 3 assists in the game.
As it comes off, leaves those short. You say that he's shooting a good foul clip, and he misses both, so good job there, Shorty. The old commentator's curse works a treat.
Always does. Always catches you.
Short, great pass. One more. Hooley open, long. And it comes off Barlow's knee, and Texas will try and chip into this 15-point lead. 8.5 to go, fourth quarter, Nunawading Stadium.
The other point I'd make about Dean Vickerman, which has been really impressive, is his ability to bring this group together and share the basketball as much as they have. There's always temptation coming into these games that it's your time to shine, it's your stage, and I'm going to go one-on-one, but definitely have shared the basketball so far.
Coleman flips it out to Ostakowski. Coleman runs it down the rebound inside Barber. Should score. Tried to miss, but doesn't. And that full court press is back for Texas. You make a good point, because there's a couple of guys who, if it's not with Melbourne, with another team, want to show some individual skills to try and get that contract that they so sorely need over a professional season. So it's been a big effort by Dean Vickerman and his team.
The ball's been moving from side to side as Hooley heads to the basket, head down. Not successful.
Leaves it long. Davis Jr. inside on Majuk. Cops a bump, no foul.
I thought that could have been rewarded with 2 free throws.
I think a similar act I reckon in conference play, similar act he might find himself at the foul line when they get back to the States.
Barlow picks up his third.
And a timeout has been called. The timeout called. Melbourne United, we've got 7.5 left in the game.
So with 7.5 left in the game here, Melbourne United still getting that double-digit lead. And they're looking pretty steady.
They are. You mentioned the fact that for a team that, and Daniel Dillon spoke about it in the second quarter, for a team that isn't actually a team, if that makes any great deal of sense, with Chris Goulding, of course, Ty Wesley, Sam Short's on the deal, Majuk, Peter Hawley. There are a lot of guys here who will not be on the Melbourne United roster come game one. So the way that Dean Vickerman has been able to play unselfishly, as you mentioned, but also to be able to stay within the confines of the game has been fairly impressive by almost the entire squad who's got on the court.
Yeah, it's not like these guys are complete strangers. They are uncontracted, but they do train together. They train quite frequently together, and we did talk earlier in the broadcast about how Vickerman's adopted his style of play that allows them to pick it up quickly, and they've done well to put 67 points on the board tonight.
Huge thank you to Ty Power, who of course a partner, Trojan, of course Dodo, which have been a wonderful partner of Melbourne United for so long now, of course, and Basketball Victoria, you know, a major partner of Melbourne United, and the relationships to which Vince Crivelli, the CEO, spoke of at halftime and continuing to strengthen as time goes on, only gets pushed bigger and better by events like this. Nunawading tonight, the new stadium, Casey on Sunday, the UNO will be there for the game against the University of Wisconsin. It just brings a closer, tight-knit basketball community in Melbourne and Victoria closer together when you see these events. The NBL Blitz, going to see the pre-season in Terralgama, but then we'll see 4 stadiums host games on that September 10th. So you're going to see grassroots stadiums be able to see up close and personal elite basketball in this country.
And it's part of the marketing strategy of Melbourne United to bring basketball back to the community. And tonight, with a crowd here at Nunawading, full house, sold out in under an hour. It's a pretty fantastic effort from Vince Crivelli, the general manager of Melbourne United.
Van Hoff off his leg, and I'll stay here sideline. Jones to inbound. They wanted a lob, they couldn't get it. It's a big bummer, he's got to throw it in. Now this is...
Same thing with international play in the US collegiate system. You can throw that all the way into the
down.
backcourt, but it's part of the learning experience for some of these guys to adjust to the rules.
Second 5-second violation we've seen. Dylan Ostakowski in the first half tried to get a timeout call, which was a little bit too late. So that'll be frustrating for Shaka Smart because essentially they've blown 2 opportunities to be able to chip into this, what's a 13-point lead.
Especially when every possession here in the fourth quarter is valuable given their lack of scoring so far.
Hawley deep, kicks it out to Barlow. For a third occasion, can't quite make that happen. He's short, inside, goes deep and throws it straight to the hands of Fevers. He just gives it straight up. That is a athletic move by a guard in Jones.
And here comes the press.
That's a point guard, folks. Like a 2-hand push-up, and there you go. They're lifting the intensity again, which they've done in spurts. Eric Davis Jr. there almost getting the pick-off.
Well, it's like we said to Daniel Dillon, though, they've got to score to be able to do it. But what I liked is there's a primary line of defence, but it's then the next guy. And they haven't quite mastered that tonight, Texas. And, you know, first entry pass is pressure, but the second pass has just not been there and hasn't been on point like it was last night.
Peter Hawley's been, you know, we spoke about not essentially having a pure point guard on this roster tonight. He's been actually really good in backup point guard minutes.
Certainly has, and it is good to see a combination out here now that may play together through the course of the season. Obviously, Felix Van Hoff is uncontracted.
And Barber goes bang. Hits that 3 that his stroke really hasn't been there as much tonight, and that lead gets back to 9.
Yeah, and we've spoken about it all night. I hate repeating myself, but that's the kind of shot I want to see him take. I like seeing him in the trail spot. You know, he's going to spend a lot of time running from the rim to the top of the three-point line. And he has to build his confidence from that position. The evolution for him this year is to surprise some teams, especially with the pace that Coach Smart plays with in his style of play for Texas.
Bozeman back in, running the point. Replaces Sam Short. Half a screen by Wesley, ignores it, now kicks it to the top. Goes around Jericho Sims. That's a move we've seen a million times, both for New Zealand and for Melbourne United at the bottom of the net for Ty Wesley. As they push it straight back up, Jones. And they'll start again. Here's Roach. Off the bumper screen. Still looking at the kick out. He's going to start again. Jones at the top. Here comes Barber. Good hands by Bozeman. We're going to see a jump ball. And we're going to see Melbourne United possession.
Yeah, just a lost possession for Texas. They seem to be confused, brought the ball to one side, not quite sure of themselves. They're the preseason jitters that you get. And they're the sorts of edits you'll find in the film room with the assistant coaches tomorrow.
Which you don't want, but they're there.
That's right. You just, this is a critical point of the game. We got 5 minutes 44 left to go. Melbourne United keep pushing that lead out to double digits. You got to get back-to-back possessions that are fluent and efficient. You got to know where the ball's going. And right now, that ball's got to go to Bumba. He's got to make something happen.
That's the difference, I guess, between a professional team and a collegiate team. In that situation in a pro, that's a screen and roll. It's an automatic screen and roll. The shot clock's running down. You just got to try and run a pick and roll action, and you don't quite have that fluency. When, in fairness to Texas, they're only playing their second game.
It is, but also, too, the 24-second shot clock has an effect on a collegiate team, too. They have to play with a little bit more pace and urgency, and on that occasion, they didn't get it done.
Coleman, Bamba, got it. And Kerwin Rose has really had a great second half. Had a big three in the third quarter, followed by a three-point play, and then he's knocked another one. It's back to 8, which is the closest Texas have been for the entire second half of this game.
He only shot the ball at 28% from 3 last year, 21 of 74. So if they can find another three-point shooter on their team, it'll certainly help Smart's woes from the perimeter.
That's too easy for Wesley there. No, Jericho Sims just let him back it in. No real physicality, and he gets into that. Once he's into the key, that jump ball's deadly.
And most certainly is, as they go to the high pick and roll again.
Coleman just wears it there. Sims has to go up. Can't. Locked it out of court. Going to go back the other way. We might have been a little bit harsh on Coleman in the first half, but his second half has been fairly impressive.
Certainly has. Seems like the coach potentially gave him a little tap on the shoulder at halftime and said, mate, you got to lead the energy. If you want to be a point guard at freshman level to lead your team to the tournament, we're going to need you to step up and lead the team. And there certainly have been signs of that so far in this half.
Jacob Young in. Here's Hawley, guarded by Coleman. 10-point lead, 4.5 to go. Nunawading Stadium, packed house, 600. NBL pre-season for Melbourne United and an NCAA pre-season for the University of Texas. Here's Wesley. What's Sims learned from the last time? Not a great deal. And one.
Sims is all at sea with Ty Wesley. Previous possession, he took him to the foul line, put him in the spin cycle. And then that time, got him down in the low post. And, what I love about the evolution of Ty Wesley is the fact that he does slow down now. Early on in his career, he got a little bit out of control. But right there, we see how well he's matured with his low post game.
And for our Texas friends who are watching this game right now, Ty Wesley does this to a lot of NBL defenders. So don't think that what he's doing right now to Sims is unique. He takes his time, as you touched on. He's slow. He's a physical beast inside, and he's able to have that soft touch. So this is something we see week in, week out from Ty Wesley.
Now, he's a Guam, isn't he?
He is.
He's a Guam, yeah.
He didn't. He had
a Guam.
He's
a Guam. He's from Guam.
He had international representation over the off season. So I think he won that. And Roy Ward will give me a thumbs up here. He won the NZBL, didn't he? For who he played for. I'm pretty sure he won a championship there. And then he played for Guam internationally. So he has had a fairly full pre-season. It's a little bit off Broadway for some of die-hard basketball fans, but it's definitely been keeping the kilometres clicking over on court.
He might not want to be in Guam.
Ostakowski, 3, got it. Back to 10.
10 points with 4 minutes to go. What has Texas got for us?
They have found excitement and energy levels at about 4-minute bursts. So if they can lift it here for the last 4 minutes, easier said than done, as you see Jacob Young just take it from him, and Hawley be able to run him down. They're going to keep it alive. Jacob Young will hold it. Texas having a crack.
He's too casual on that play, Young.
Here's Coleman. Screen and roll. Has to put it up. Inside. Gets inside as he's been getting a fair bit. That's a push on Majorque.
Coleman's got to be able to make that move with less dribbles. A couple of times he's tried to go right, tried to go left, come back right. If he can make that play at collegiate level with less dribbles, he's going to be highly effective.
Jacob Banks into the game as well. Mo Bamba on the court, off the court. 10-point lead, 3.5 to go. Peter Hawley gets subbed out. Sam Short comes back in. Texas having trouble again getting it in. They finally do. And here we go. It's back within 8.
You should note Chris Goulding was put on ice some time ago. We don't think we'll see him for the rest of the game. Not that he's injured, just that
Great
they're...
pass, Wesley to Majuk. That's a charge. Febres hit that 3 down this end. It's back to 8 points, and they have found a little bit of their stroke into this fourth quarter. Texas is the excitement and the energy's up.
It is, and you know, Smart is an energy kind of coach, so he looks for those inspirational plays to boost his team's confidence and get them up and about. So, you know, hopefully for the fans here at Nuttawatting, we've got a close game.
Daniel Dillon wasn't joking when he spoke about the team travelling. All 42 Texas basketballers are off the bench right now as they are closing this lead, and Melbourne United having to call the timeout. You mentioned Chris Goulding on ice. Precautionary. Hopefully we'll see him again on Sunday. We'll see Josh Boone on Sunday as well, as it stands right about now, as the University of Wisconsin come into Casey Basketball Stadium. 1,500 people will be there as well in the new facility, and looking forward to seeing it for the first time with my eyes. Rowan, have you been out there yet?
I haven't been out to Casey yet, but I have heard it's quite the facility. A little bit more than the boutique venue that we're in here tonight. But, yes, excited about that. And also excited about Melbourne United's season. Tonight, Casey Prather being announced as one of their key signings. And look on screen right there. Look at the assembly of talent that they have. Tickets on sale soon at ticketek.com.au. Get around it. If you're looking for memberships, give the Melbourne United office a call and they'll be able to help you out.
If you haven't got your tickets, your season tickets, and Vince Cavalli spoke about getting close to 5,000 members as we head towards the NBL season, jump on Melbourne United website or jump on ticketek.com.au. New Zealand Breakers in town for the first home game of the season for Melbourne United. But Hisense Arena is a wonderful place to watch basketball. It's a sweet gym. We have the open air day on Boxing Day. That's going to be back. And we have a competition that has 8 teams that legitimately, as we've seen last year, with 7 of them still fighting for a playoff spot in the final round, we have 8 legitimate chances to take home the NBL Championship trophy, and that's what you want from a competition, be it with 8 teams or 28 teams. You have 8 legitimate chances. That only adds to the excitement week in, week out.
It was a terrific season last year, so close down the stretch. Melbourne United losing those 2 games to Perth and New Zealand, which prevented them from getting to the finals. But I could quite honestly say, right at this point in time with Casey Prather, they're a red-hot chance.
Here's Coleman, and you mentioned the dribbles. There you go, over-dribbling again, gets almost the same shot. There's Bamba, matched up on Majuk, clear out. One dribble goes to the left. Back to Wade.
He had room to operate. They kind of got out of the way, let him go one-on-one onto his left hand. Terrific move by potentially the future number 1 draft pick.
Which, in fairness, we haven't seen enough tonight of that isolation. When he's got the dribbling skills, as we see him down the other end, show what he can do defensively, stopping Jerry Evans. It'll stay with United on the baseline. But he's got the dribbling skills and the wingspan and the length to be able to do stuff a lot. We haven't seen isolation enough for mine.
Right, I'd just like to see him touch the ball more.
Yeah.
You know, like touch the ball more offensively. And, you know, credit, though, to Melbourne United that have prevented that from happening, though.
Here's Wesley, lead back to 6. Closest it's been since early in the second quarter as Texas make that run. Bozeman into Coleman. Bamba comes over. No good. It's an and 1 on the continuation. Bozeman will go to line and try and get 3 points the old-fashioned way.
Bozeman. Hey, that was a great play. Exactly what the team needed. An ISO at the top of the key. Needed to make the play to keep the momentum in Melbourne United's favour, and rewarded with the N1.
Drew the foul and was able to use the creativity of him to make sure the Bamba couldn't come over and stop him from able to get that shot up. So 3 points, the old-fashioned way, does that. Lead back to 9. A little more breathing space, but this Texas team has found their offensive flow in this fourth quarter. They can continue it. There is a chance. Here's Ostakowski, too easy. Left-hand layup off a great handoff by Coleman.
2 minutes to play, 7-point game. We have a ball game as Hooley looks to check in.
Wesley, this is what Texas want to do with their full court pressure. Get the ball out of their point guard's hands. It has found its way back to short. Backdoor, great pass, Bozeman. Layup. And we set off the top. If you're going to play full court pressure defense, backdoors are an opportunity.
They certainly are, and Ty Wesley on that occasion. Pitch perfect, landed right in the hands of Bozeman.
Coleman gets deep into the key, had an opportunity, loses it.
You'd be frustrated. 2 minutes to go, possession so valuable, you cough that up.
In particular, when it's from your lead guard, as Evans gets fouled to go line for 2. When it's from your lead, now we are being asked, he's an 18-year-old kid, he's a freshman, he's in his... officially his second game for the university, but it's slight frustration when he's played well. He's got good looks. They've had good looks the last 3 or 4 minutes, and he's coughed it up without getting a shot or two.
Yeah, and they're the things I think for Coach Smart tonight. This is exactly what they wanted from the preseason, to come out here, play some professional teams, and really be tested emotionally and experience some of the things that they might experience through the course of the season. And big learning curve for some of these freshmen. There's 5 of them. It's going to be interesting to see how they fit with the mix of sophomores they have.
Evans picks up the steal, knocks down the 18-footer off the Aaron Bumper pass. It's out to 12, and that could almost do it. Cairns on Friday night for Texas, and then Illawarra next Monday in the 4-game trip. There's Bumper, reach in. Evans close.
Yeah, there's some tough teams ahead. I mean, Aaron Fern always has a great preseason. Rob Beveridge always has a great preseason. So those teams will be highly tuned.
That Illawarra's complete roster is here. They started training camp yesterday. How many of them will play next Monday is another thing entirely, but they have got a majority, in fact, all of their roster here ready to go. So you might see them all actually at some point hit the court, which is just going to make it harder for Texas compared to the team tonight, which is a somewhat hybrid Melbourne United team.
Yeah, definitely. And, Illawarra to me was the most improved team last year, most improved club, I think, and it certainly showed that they're going to mix it up, and no doubt that momentum that they got from last season will carry forward. They're going to be hard to deal with all year, the Illawarra Hawks.
And a masterful coaching performance. Not that we should be surprised by what Beveridge can do, but the fact he put Rodney Clark, a former MVP, on the bench and got the best out of him gives an indication of what and how much that group believes in his coaching methods and the way he goes about it.
Right, and it certainly shows the confidence that he has as a coach to make that call and believe in the system he's trying to instill in his players. And Rodney Clark was phenomenal in games last year for the Illawarra Hawks.
11-point lead for Melbourne United. Minute 15 to go. Nunawading Stadium being packed house.
Ty Wesley and Coach Smart having a little bit of a conversation. What do you reckon you were saying? What did you see at Melbourne Zoo today, Coach Smart?
Yeah, Melbourne Zoo. And are you going to go snorkeling, I guess, on the Great Barrier Reef in Cairns, and then down to Wollongong on Monday? Or he might have just been reminding him that right now they're 11 points up. He's always loved to chat, Ty Wesley, and not necessarily just the players on the court, which I think adds a great with the personality in NBL as he again shows Jericho Sims the exact same move he showed him probably 4 times in his last quarter.
Hasn't defended the spin move at all well, giving him the middle of the lane a couple of times. And Ty Wesley, lovely soft touch. He gives Melbourne United a sense of toughness.
He does.
And that's what they're going to need off the bench. And he's going to have to... He started a lot this year, last year for Melbourne United because of some of the injuries and change of personnel. So he's the kind of guy that has to be amorphous. He has to change different roles from game to game, and he seems quite comfortable with that.
But he's also a guy that plays his natural game while changing roles, which isn't always easy to do. Now, we've seen when David Anderson went down, he had to play in centre a little bit more, but it's still you essentially see him play the exact same style without going out of what he needs to do out of the actual team setup. So it's a very rare commodity in basketball around the country, let alone in this particular country. Bozeman knocked over. He'll go down the other end and shoot 2. Foul on Jones. Is that full court pressure? Can occasionally lead to errant fouls.
This has been a success tonight for Melbourne United.
It has.
Success both in terms of giving them the best opportunity in the pre-season to improve with the players that they have available to them, but probably more important, the fact that they've reached out to the community at both, Dandenong last night is testament to the Victorian basketball community, but also tonight to reach out to they could have hosted this game at a venue that was 2,500 people. They would have done it, but it was a conscious decision to bring basketball to the people.
And the atmosphere in here's been brilliant. You could see it. And we spoke off the top. Domestic basketball was going on when we walked into the stadium. You're essentially sitting on top of the court here, which is not what you're traditionally getting in the NBL arena. So it's been a great night. Melbourne have got the winners. Sims, he's learned something. Sims does the Wesley on Wesley down the other end. It's back to 10. 45 seconds to go. Bozeman has impressed me again tonight as he travels. Might have got a slight little bump. Travel. He again has impressed me within the structure of a point guard, which might not necessarily be the way that he traditionally plays. He's been a high volume scorer in both college and with Colleen in the Big V. So he's been able to come in and run the point guard against high intensity defense, as he did against China. And I think it's been another really feather in his cap tonight.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the Siebel next year. I think he's quite capable and has shown that at the point guard position, which many Siebel clubs need to fill, that he will be on people's radars. Sorry to all those bullying fans out there that enjoyed him shooting 30 points a game this year in the State League.
10-point lead, 33 seconds to go. Dave Barlow inbounds has played particularly well, as is Peter Hawley in that backup point guard role. Wesley, nice fake. Hawley going to run it much as they can. Deep into the key, which he's done well. Kicks it outside. Barlow for his three-pointer number 3, leaves it short. But Wesley gets the offensive ball, which is something Melbourne United have done particularly well tonight. In what'll be, you would think, a 10-point win for Melbourne United. 600 people at Nunawading. No, they're going to take a shot. No, they're not. Wesley turns it over. Off the rim, half-court shot. No good from Jacob Young. And in the end, NBL pre-season win number 2 for Melbourne United. It was China a couple of weeks ago, and tonight it is over the University of Texas Longhorns, 85-75.